Hello, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Keona, and I mainly do diamond painting content. Today is a different video. It is diamond painting content. What I'm going to do here is this is the the tutorial for section frames. So what we're going to do right now is I am going to kit up this diamond painting. This is Magic Potion, not the Magic Potion. This is the Magician's Table by Emily Jareg. I'm going to kit this up and get it all ready, and when we come back here, I will be showing you how to use these section frames to section off your diamond paintings. This one is small enough that I should be able to show you the whole thing sectioned off. Okay, so I'll see you on the other side of the kit up time lapse. Let's go. So I have been debating myself how to do this. I have the painting right here, but do I take my stock, which I think I said before I'm not going to take out of my stock, or do I make new ones? The thing is, do I use the same vinyl I have up for sale, or do I use my scraps so I'm not going into my potential markets? So we have my scraps here. Whee! So, these are my scraps. So I'm thinking we use these. Not this one. This one isn't a scrap. Like, I got a black here. I got pink. I got the worst vinyls. There's a few of them that I've ever used. So, yeah, I do have options. I think I'm going to go into my scraps. Choose something from here. Like, we got a blue. We got a pink. We have plenty of black that has lint all over it. Ooh, with black, I can use a silver marker. We're going to do black. Okay. So I'll see you once I have these cut out and ready to actually start the tutorial. So we've come a long way to get to this point. I have all my section frames cut out. I need 35. Now, the reason why I do 4.5 by 4 and not just 4 is because you get a lot of paintings that are this size that are either 28 by 22 or 22 by 28. So 28 is divisible by 4, 22 is equally divisible by 4.5, so yes. So you will end up with a tiny bit of lap because of the fact there will be a gap between your sections, so you can cut down the middle. So let me show you how to use them. You're going to use them just like washi tape. Now, first I'm going to do is prep the canvas. There's multiple ways you can do this. I can show you the way that most people do it, and I always fail. That's how we're going to start. And then I will show you the way I attempt to get the bubbles out of the paper. So the plastic just shifts in transit when it's rolled up. And that's what causes all these bubbles. And what most people do, and what I'm really bad at, is they bring this paper back about halfway. That's about halfway. Or plastic, not paper. And then they just bring it back over and try to get all the air out. As you can see, that didn't really do anything for me. Not added more. We're going to try it again. As my coffee cup sits on top of that corner over there. Hold on. Hey, coffee cup, go back over there. I'm using you to hold down that corner. I'm using my coaster to hold down that corner. There we go. So we're going to try to do it again. Again, about halfway. Then back down. So you want to try to get most of the air bubbles out. Now, I fell at that, so I'm going to show you the way I do it. Now, I work with a Cricut, obviously, because you guys see my work all the time, where I make diamond painting things. The section frames, sorry. I had to think what they were called. So, I have a tool, which I did not have ready, called a scraper. You can use a spatula or whatever. This is how I get air out of my vinyl. And I just treat it like it's vinyl. You can do this with a credit card, a piece of cardstock, thick cardstock, as long as you have a flat surface, which right here I do. What am I rolling over? Oh, my mat. I have my craft mat over here. And it's not making it exactly easy, but you get as much bubbles as you want out so the frames will lay as flat as possible. Again, this is only if you are overly anal about shit like this, like I am. Can I make it a whole video without cursing? Probably not. Or you might have another way to get the bubbles out. If so, leave it down in the comments below. You'll be helping me out and others out. So there's both methods. Gotten majority of the bubbles out. We got a few in here. And all the edges up here. Trying not to get my head in frame. My hair is a mess as usual. I'm having most of my issues right where my craft mat is. Okay. My hand's starting to hurt. I'm putting a lot of pressure in this. I don't think you really need this much pressure. I'm just being I'm overdoing it. Let's just say that. So obviously that's as bubbleless as I can get it myself. Again, if you could probably get it a lot better. You're probably using a straight up flat surface and not a surface with a craft mat that's covering a portion of it. Alright, now that we've done that, so I have 35 section frames. I decided to use a matte black because I have a chalkboard version of this. So if you like this and you like the look, like, oh, I have a chalkboard marker. I want that. I also, because I didn't have enough to make 35, I've also used some of this black chrome, which this is a future color in my shop. In fact, it's coming in Friday, which Friday is the 25th, I want to say. I could be wrong. It's Wednesday, 22nd. 24th? Either way. What I do is I go ahead and I lay these out as needed on top. So you're only pilling once. We're going to start with top. What I want to know is I want to know where they're going to be positioned, top to bottom. Why is that? There it is. So my first row had to be black because I had 5 sheets of black and only 4 sheets of chrome. If you've ever wondered why they start in 4 packs, is I can make 4 to a sheet. Okay? So we'll get a general idea of where I want them as that falls down. Why does that feel wrong? Feels a little too big. Are we sure you're 22 inches tall? Oh, I'm not accounting for the white. Yeah, key thing, account for the white. Because the release papers are deliberately bigger than the section frames, so you can reuse them easier. So I get a general idea of where I want them to be. Okay. Now I gotta think about it. I'm gonna overhang on purpose on the top left, because that's where I'm gonna start. And so it should line up. And how I'm going to do this is I'm gonna go down, and then I'm gonna go across. And you're not gonna see the first one, because of the fact that it's up here in the corner. And it's like, actually, let's just bring this down a little bit. Bring that in a little bit, so you're not running into my head. There we go. I'm sorry for the light glare. It happens. 1 second. Let me pause this while I get this straight edge out from under my table so I can walk around it. Okay, there we go. Sorry, it was really loud. So how you're going to start this is you can peel it off completely, or you can do it the fold and peel method. I'm not good at that method, so I'm going to peel off completely. Okay. Be careful with those sharp edges because it will tear if you're not careful. That's considered a weak point, is the sharp straight edges. So what you're going to do is try to line up best with where you want to put it. I like to do the lines, like try to do halfway. So let me get in here. I gotta get an idea of where I want it. Right about there. Nope. This is a round, unfortunately, so you don't have the square blocks helping you. And the first piece is always the hardest. Of course, you can always go back and peel it up and put it back, because these are reusable, so they stick to the plastic well enough, but can be peeled off. Even the permanent vinyl ones that I make can. Now, saying that, if you stick it to something that it doesn't want to come off of, unlike the plastic covering here, it will stay stuck to it. You know, I paused this recording because of the last train that went through. Alright, see? There you go. You can push all the bubbles at it. So there's our first one. That, like I said, would be the hardest. Also, your outline will be the hardest, so we're going to go ahead and do the next one down. Don't forget to save your section frames. Normally, I'll have a label on the back of these saying save this release frame, or release paper to reuse section frames. Save these. Okay, our next one's going down. I'm going to show you the other way, actually. Sorry, I'm having to stand up because this painting's really big. I could have done this with a small painting. So, let me zoom out a little bit so you can see this part. Move the painting over here. Okay. So what you're going to do, you're going to bend backwards. If you hear the train, I apologize. I don't control the train schedule. So you can bend this backwards and fold this. Right? Then you can line it how you want to line it up. Don't worry, later on in this video, I show you how to reuse these, and I will also show you how I cut them. Okay, then you'll just bring it back like this. You can get out any bubbles. And there you are. And that's how you will do the first row. So we're going to speed this up a little bit while I do the next rows, or the rest of the first row, and then I will show you, or the first column, then I will show you how I do the rows going over to the next one. And we will also show you how I do this piece right here that's going to go between this and that. But I will show you real quick in detail right here. Let me zoom in a little bit. As you see my tubes. Yeah, there is a little air pocket. Actually, that's probably a piece of dust stuck under there. It happens. But right here, it's right halfway through the round. So if you cut right there, you don't place right there. You're going to be placing everywhere that the section frame before covered. So what I'm going to try to do is try to get a line up on this line. You do want space, big enough space to cut, but you don't necessarily need a large amount of space for these section frames. Okay, so like I said, it's just like doing washi tape. I'm going to turn it sideways to make it easier to work with. And now let's just go ahead and switch to time-lapse mode. As I adjust this, switch to time-lapse mode. So we can get this first row done. One moment. Okay, at this point is when you can decide if you're happy with the placement. I'm not happy with the placement because that makes the bottom row so much smaller. So I got to remember these are columns because we're going up and down. These will be rows. So I'm not happy about the size. So now is your time to change it. And this gives me the opportunity that even though I already recorded a reusable section, we're going to show you how to reuse these with a proper section frame release paper. So what I am going to do right now is I need to make up for the fact that I have probably about 3 more extra rows that I didn't like. Now be careful because if you look right here, I started tearing at the corners. Like I said, you can't be impatient with these or you will tear them, and then you have to put up with that. Now, preferably you would place them down properly. Not let static get you. Because it happens, no matter where you are, you're going to have some little bit of like, oh, I want to be sucked into it. So you just place it right back down. The fact that the frame bases are so big, it doesn't really matter. And there you go. You have a reusable section frame now. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do that with 2 of them. And I'm going to work from, actually, we're going to move this forward real quick. And then I'll do it with this one. No, we only need it for the one because we're moving up. Sorry. Look at me getting ahead of myself. And you saw in the time lapse, I flattened out another bubble. It's easy to do that in the first row. So I know I want to go up by at least 2 rows. So I'm just going to go up very subtly. It's really hard when you don't have the other edge, but you're going to be using this as your guide from this point forward. And after seeing that, I want to go a little bit more over. That way, when we get to the other side, because you might have to do this all over again. Me, I'm going to accept my fate and okay, the last one in the row will be the shortest or whatever, you know. I'm just accepting it for how it's going to be. Now, if you noticed also while I was doing it, the easiest way I found for me to do this is not the way I just did it where it was sideways. So you're going to pick this up and adjust. If you have to, you put the original release paper right there, which if you notice, the static again will tell it to come up. Try to place it as straight as possible. There's going to be human error. We're not perfect. I'm trying to get it below that row. Okay, you don't have to be perfectionist. How can myself? There we go. There's a ripple right there that I'm rubbing up against. Ah! And then sometimes that'll happen. But look at that, it fixed itself. That's me being too impatient. You cannot be impatient. Mistakes are made when you're impatient. And I'm noticing I made too much of a gap. Right now I'm noticing that as I try to pull to make sure I don't pull up that tear. Told you I had those corners tearing. So I'm going to confirm it. As I try to lay this down, but my fingers are stuck in the wrong place. As long as your fingers are clean, you shouldn't have an issue with stickiness by holding it like this. Okay, so now my gap is way smaller than it should be. It should have been about halfway, so I know it's wrong. Therefore, I will be unintentionally making that first row way too big, and look at me almost tearing. Gotta be very gentle in those corners. I will look into rounding these corners off for y'all. No guarantee. So I doubled my gap last time. I'm trying to fix that right now. That is not straight. Okay. That should be right, and if it's not, I will come back and tell you it's not. But for now, we're good. Might be a little over, but oh well. Talking about over this way, towards me. Okay, as you can see with how I did this, I did go back to the method, and I like that method, so that's the method I'm going to recommend from this point forward, is to go ahead and remove it from its release paper. I have a nice straight release paper right now, so instead of these curved ones. They come on a roll, so it's really hard to uncurve them, and I don't want to damage the vinyl. But people say, oh, see, look at that. It smoothed out as soon as I peeled it off, so that makes it easy. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it right back down on the section frame right here. And try to get it straight. Not straight on the frame, but not with no bubbles, because the bubbles will mess it up. So, excuse me as I fix this. My finger sticks to one side. It happens. Remember, don't be impatient like I just almost was. Fix your bubble. Right back down. Don't have a bubble. We're gonna just rub those out real quick. Get unstuck. Rub out those bubbles. Just rub them out. You'll be fine. Okay. So with a corner, what we're trying to do here, and the whole reason I started from the bottom was to get this line right. But you can start from the top or the bottom. It doesn't matter. It's your preference. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to line up the corners. To be about equal. Oops. I'm trying to do it without placing it down, because once you place it down, it wants to stick. If you're like me and you pay attention to too much of the other side, you end up not being straight. I want a gap between all the frames. That gap will allow you to cut through when you go and you do your sectioning. We're at an angle here, I can see it. I'm trying to get it as even as possible, and you don't have to be like this. Like I said, it's very meticulous. It's up to you. It depends on how you want to be about it. Now what you're going to do is peel off a little bit, and you're just going to pull, 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 pull. This is why I said no bubbles. And then you're just going to come up from that side you placed down and push those bubbles out. If you have bubbles in the canvas, like right here I do, they're going to show through the vinyl, but that's not a big deal. Okay, now that you've seen that, I'm going to go ahead, and I'm not going to time-lapse this part, because y'all have had enough of time-lapsing throughout this video, so I'm going to go ahead and get all of these in place, and then I will show you how easy it is to roll it up. So just give me a second, and you'll see this completely covered. Not a second. A second for you. A few minutes for me. Okay, as you can see here, especially if I scroll out a little bit, we have all of our section frames on. There we go. We got a little ripple going on here from it hanging over the edge of my desk. Now, if you order from me, I can't guarantee what you get for if you order section frames from other people. They are on Etsy. I've seen a few people with them. I don't know who the originator is. All I know is that if you order section frames from me, you will get this envelope. Sorry, I'm making sure they're all faced the right way so this goes smoother. As I drop them. Of course I drop them. I use multiple different types of vinyl. Okay. So, you can make them yourself. You can buy them on Etsy. If you buy them from my shop on Etsy, they will come in an envelope like this. Well, a folder like this. My largest bundle is a 24 bundle, so it wouldn't be 35 like this. Come in a folder like this, and in an envelope like this. So what you can do with your section frame, the release papers, when you're done, you can put them right back in the envelope, and the envelope is labeled. Not this one, obviously, but it's labeled on the front which package it is, what pack it is, and hopefully the envelopes have helped flatten them out some. I don't know. I've never opened my own packaging, so yes. Now, what I've done here is I ended up managing perfectly measuring it in that top left corner, so it is spread out evenly. In the next clip, I will show you how to reuse them, and I will also show you them without you having to cover the entire painting. Right now, we're going to grab my silver Sharpie right here. It's like, where is it? I'm going to go ahead and show you the whole point of the square in the middle. I have been considering, oops, wrong way. I have been considering making these two other ways. One would be a simple frame with nothing in the middle, but also includes a free roaming label. So basically takes these lines out. And so you would get the square in the middle and the outer square, and they would not be connected. So I'm thinking about that one. So basically like just an open window, and if you choose to use the labeling, you can. Whatever. I've also thought about for mystery packs, mystery paintings, doing solid blocks. So either way, price wouldn't change. So how I like to do it is I use the A1 through, or A through whatever, 1 through whatever, right? So my left corner will always be A1. In this case, I'm going A through D. No, not D, E. A through D and 1 through 7. So that's B1, C1, D1. Oh, y'all can't see this. I'm zoomed out too far. Up a little bit. Have a cup of coffee right there. Sorry for the adjustments. They make you woozy. You won't see the E1 because it's down a little low. Alright, then we got, this is where that hollow is, or that black chrome. So, you can use a Sharpie, a silver Sharpie as well on this. A2, B2, C2. This is a matte black, but I do have the chalkboard ones. I want to mention that before. Okay. That's just your quick example of your labeling. I'm going to go through later and label them all whenever I start this painting. Okay, I've showed you that. I've shown you that. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you when it comes to this section before we get to the other clips is rolling up. Because my biggest problem with, not with washi tape, but with release papers method is the whole roll up. Because when I'm not painting on my diamond painting, because I usually have multiple up for, whatchamacallit, for different types of content. I do both TikTok and I do YouTube. So, you know, it's been a while since I put out a TikTok. Anyway, by the way, down below you can follow those. So how I tend to roll them up, I use a cut. It's cut. Oops. We'll pick that up in a second. It's cut this way. And I got a slice taken out of it. This is a pool noodle. Let's grab that as I knock over some masking tape. It's fine. It's fine. So what I do is I take the side of the painting and I put it through the slit in the foam. And I roll it. So what I want to show you here is how the section frames are rolling perfectly with this. And it is not messing them up at all. As you can see right there. And we can roll them back out and they're perfectly fine. Now it's loose, so I'm going to have to tighten and loose it and roll it back out completely before tightening it up again. So you see? Rolled completely out, it's perfectly fine. Now I'm going to do that again. I'm going to roll it back up so I can put this aside because we're doing a different painting right now. So in the next clip, you will see me reusing the section frames. I want to reiterate time and time again that they are reusable. And I will show you what it looks like in a partial painting. After that clip, you will see the actual use of section frames in practice. So, I'll see you there in a minute. So, throughout this video, we have talked about the use of section frames. I have deliberately left this sitting here. Normally, I would do this during a time-lapse, but I left it sitting here uncut so you can see the reusable part of the section frames. Ignore everything around me because this is my current whip. But section frames aren't just one-time use. If they were, I'd have to drastically reduce the price of them. Be like, oh no. But they are reusable. Oh, as I pull out this disaster. These are just old release papers that I've used for other diamond paintings, but I have this fear and I never want to throw them away because, again, it's money. I feel like I'm throwing away money. So as you can see here, I have several that I have just saved and put on release papers so I can continue to use them. I have 2 rows right now that are currently sectioned. If I scroll out a little bit more, you'll see a little bit more mess, but you will see that the section frames end right here. Excuse me, you're in my way. See, and I don't have a row right here. So I am going to have to add more section frames. But that way, this is just 12 that I'm using at a time. Or how I plan to change it up to be 12 that I'm using at a time. So it'll be easier. Sorry, there's a mess here. So first I'm going to sit there and show you. When you are done with the section frame, done with your section, you've had your section folded up, everything else, you've done your diamond painting, you've completed this part of the section, you take this and you get a piece of release paper. Sorry. A piece of release paper. Like I said, I don't like wasting my release paper, so they're all sitting in here, all my scraps, even the really short ones. These are all cut in half. Diamond Art Club release papers. You can use whole ones. You can use parchment paper, I think, too. Or maybe I should grab some parchment paper. But either way, I don't have the original because this was, I did these during prototyping. But yeah, you will just take this and pull it off gently. Keyword is gently, because those sharp corners right there around the label, those want to tear. If you pull hard, they're going to tear. And you're going to take that. It's kind of funny that I'm putting this on a C4 because this is a C9. Put that, and you just put it on. And then when you go to use it again, you just peel it right back off and put it on your diamond painting. But we talk about labeling. Some people, they don't want to label their diamond paintings. Well, you know, because that's permanent marker. Oh. Welcome to rubbing alcohol and a paper towel. Well, this was a shop towel, but, actually, let me do this right. Not a lot of people have spray alcohol. So I'll just get a thing of rubbing alcohol that I haven't opened yet. Man, you guys making me work. I could pause the speed, but no. Get a rubbing alcohol open. I haven't redone my nails because I knew I was going to be messing with rubbing alcohol. And rubbing alcohol will act like fingernail polish remover if you didn't know that. Don't do what I just did. See how I just spray it all over? Don't do it over your painting because now your painting is covered with rubbing alcohol. The good thing about rubbing alcohol, as long as you don't rub it, it's not going to take your stickiness off there. And it dries very quickly. I mean, I just got a patch of rubbing alcohol there as I was trying to prove a point. Either way, just take this and you rub. The longer it sits on there, like this has been sitting for a while, the more it'll linger. Like right now, we still have that C9. Here, I'm going closer. That's the opposite way I wanted to go. Now, I have seen that where I can do it again. I'm still concerned about that. So I'm going to go away from the table and re-soak the rag. See? There's stuff all over the rag now. Excuse me. We're going to go and we're going to place that. Get my cat hair off there. I have cats, y'all. And I'm just setting and rubbing. I'm soaking and rubbing. There is a chance that the C9 will not come off. And making me look like an idiot. But it is still very reusable. You can go ahead and take a Sharpie marker when you're done and it's dry, which it's rubbing alcohol, so it doesn't take long to dry. Right? You can go ahead and take a new Sharpie marker. I am not prepared. I don't have a Sharpie marker here. And we got a black one. A black thin one. And we can write. We can rewrite C9 on it. I can write A10 and put it up in the corner, right? Just write right over it. And actually, it would have been A11. And honestly, that C9 doesn't really affect it because of how dark that is. But look, see how if you wipe it quickly, the A9 was never there, or the A10 was never there. And that's how you reuse section frames. Now, let's grab a piece of parchment paper. This has been through the oven a few times because I use it for making cover minders. But, in theory, the reason why I say in theory is I haven't practiced this. I'm doing this for y'all right now. This is a whole section frame video. In theory, we should be able to take this off that section frame, or that relief paper, put it on here. Yeah. Come on. There you go. It sticks on the parchment paper. Well, it does the same thing that parchment paper does to anything that sticks. It'll hold it, but it won't hold it permanently, and you can peel it right off. But honestly, I'd still prefer the release papers. Personally, I would prefer the release papers. But if you're like me and you grid the same way every time, which is A through whatever letter I need to be, and 1 through whatever number I need to be, you know? You grid the same way I do. Or anyway, like if you grid by numbers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, as long as you grid the same way each time, I don't think that being stuck on there is a big deal. Okay? Now back on with the rest of the video. So I've shown you how to use them by placing them on the painting. Remember, always on the outside of the plastic. I have shown you how to reuse them. Now, let's show you how to use them in practice. I am going to use a very small ceramic blade, very tiny, very pen tip. And just like with washi tape, you're not going to put any pressure at all, really. Just enough to get through the plastic, because you put too much pressure, you're going to cut your diamond painting. And we don't want to do that, do we? No, we don't. So what you're going to do is you're going to go alongside. What I do is I go alongside my next one, not my current one, but you can go either way. That's what that slit between the section frames are for. You just go right there. I missed and hit the section frame. You might do that. So again, be careful. Very light pressure, just enough to cut the plastic. And go all the way through. We're going to zoom in for this next part. Move it a little bit up so you can see a little bit. Okay. There we go. So how I take these off normally is after I've taken the section frame off, I take scissors to it. You saw it in the previous clip. And that gives me something to hold on to. So I can just pull back. And I pull back going towards the next one so it doesn't tear in. If it tears, it goes the other way and it gets stopped by the other section frame. And because of that, you have this perfect fold, knowing where to stop. Perfect fold right along that line to the next one. See, now I'm on my sticky. This is plastic. This is sticky. So, like I said, you're going to just pull back, and then if you need to pause for a moment because maybe you didn't have time to diamond paint, cover it right back over. And it's very, very simple to use. Like I said, it's more of a replacement for washi tape. And that is because washi tape can get exhausting to use, especially if you're stretching across the whole painting and everything else. So I'd like to thank you all for spending time with me, and thank you all who purchased the product and who plan on purchasing the product, because I try to bring ease to diamond painters. That's what I came up with the wax minder for. You know, that was my idea. I brought that into the world because just to make things easier. And this is to make things easier for those that are super meticulous like I am. I want those perfectly straight lines, or people who just, they don't want to sit there and stretch their arms out and try to get all the perfect grids and everything else, or people who just want the perfect size square each time, or in this case, rectangle. And we are working on more sizes, so just keep in touch with the shop for that. Don't forget to favorite the shop. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below if you have any suggestions for sizes, colors, see if I can find the vinyl or whatever. And subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I greatly appreciate it. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, and hopefully this video was helpful. Bye!